Overwatch has been released for nearly 7 years now. Overwatch has historically had a very extensive lore for its roster of heroes, whether that would be necessary or not. It is one of the deepest rabbit holes of theories, stories, and hidden Easter eggs of any game lore ever, let alone a game that doesn't focus mainly on story. 7 years, many unneeded changes, many controversies, and a sequel later, the Overwatch franchise is possibly more popular than ever, and that's thanks in no small part to their world building and cast of engaging heroes. The most distinct way in which their heroes are fleshed out is in their highly acclaimed animated shorts, which Blizzard originally released in the lead-up of the Overwatch release, which was in May of 2016. Shorts are by far the best way to introduce the viewer to the game and further engage them into Overwatch lore and the Overwatch universe. Stories are something universal. Anyone can understand them, and making a solid short story to make the characters more engaging is one of the easiest ways to get people to play the game and immerse themselves in it with little to no friction, especially because Overwatch 2 is free to play. What's the difference between an animated short and a trailer, however? Why not just release a trailer? Animated shorts are arguably better than trailers because they give crucial information to both new players and existing players, while trailers only cater towards the needs of people who have never played the game. If you want a friend to play Overwatch, it'll be way easier to convince them to do so if you show them a good story rather than a hastily created 2-minute trailer. However, I think it's safe to assume that the majority of people who watch the Overwatch animated shorts are existing players. If you've already played Overwatch, the trailer will pretty much tell you what you already knew about the game. If you watch an animated short, however, you might grow fonder of the heroes in the game, as you have gathered a new perspective on their backstory and personality through that short. Overwatch animated shorts are great because each short has its own distinct vibe, incredible storytelling, breathtaking music, and mesmerizingly realistic yet stylized animations and graphics. The characters are introduced in the perfect way in each short. For example, in Dragons, the narrator mentions that a stranger called up to the dragon and asked a question, which is a parallel that directly implies that Hanzo is the dragon and Genji is the stranger. Later on, we see Genji controlling the dragons, which leaves Hanzo with a visible look of disbelief. This tells us that 1. Only a Shimada can control the dragons, and 2. That Genji is Hanzo's brother and not a stranger, but Hanzo does not know it yet. Another example would be in Reunion, where the dialogue between Ashe and McCree, or shall I say Cassidy, implies that they have history together, which is also implied when Ashe asks about his prosthetic arm. This history is never confirmed or denied until the end of the short, where we see a picture of McCree and Ashe in the past in which, you guessed it, McCree has a real arm. The outro of Reunion might leave the viewer with more questions than answers. What caused McCree to have a prosthetic arm? What did Ashe and McCree's history look like? Why is Athena so important to McCree? What business does McCree have to attend to?
I've got some business to attend to.
Just like that, Blizzard has trapped the viewer into the Overwatch rabbit hole. Another reason why Overwatch shorts are so good is that each short has its own unique style. Not a single word is said for the first 2 minutes of Reunion. That's a quarter of the entire runtime. This is because the Reunion short is most closely related to the Western genre. This is vastly different than Dragons, for example, which is a derivative of the tales of Japanese myths, which often involve dragons and stories of overcoming hardships. Meanwhile, Infiltration is relatively lighthearted and seems like an action thriller with a dash of subtle humor. Each short is fundamentally different than the rest, which not only makes each short stand out on its own, but also makes the connection between the viewer and each character deep and unique. The way the music interacts with the story and the emotions of each scene is also a key reason that makes Overwatch shorts so good. Each soundtrack is unique. No two shorts have the same soundtracks, which gives the composers freedom to fully commit to the style of the shorts. For example, the East Asian instruments and the notes used in Dragons would stand out in a not-so-good way if they were put into Hero, where the instruments are conspicuously Hispanic. The soundtrack also rises and falls with each scene, which allows the viewer to set their expectations properly for each scene. For example, listen to this. It's not very riveting, right? The cinematography is also incredibly unique, even compared to some movies. I think this is because animation allows for more imaginative techniques that may not be possible in live action. The perfect representation of how music, cinematography, and storytelling are all that's needed to tell a good story is in The Last Bastion, where not a single word is said, yet the viewer sympathizes with Bastion's PTSD. This PTSD is represented by the red light, which is a universal sign that literally anyone can grasp. The juxtaposition in music also represents the PTSD, where the music can go from peaceful to chaotic in the matter of seconds. Another important, albeit overlooked reason is that the hero's abilities and gadgets are put on full display in these shorts, giving us a taste for what's to come in the actual game. It doesn't take a professional Overwatch player to discern that Soldier 76 and Reaper are more aggressive while Reinhardt is more defensive just by observing the way they handle enemies. A criticism that I have of the shorts, however, is that the acting can get a little overdramatic and on the nose at times.
Yes! The cavalry's here!
Another criticism is that the shorts have been gradually degrading in quality in my opinion, with the Diva and Kiriko ones being my least favorite of the bunch. Overwatch has always been riddled with problems, whether that may be the loot box system, the arguably worse Battle Pass system, or the many controversies involving Activision Blizzard's workspace being repulsive. However, one thing they surely got right was their animated shorts, which are cinematic masterpieces in every way imaginable.
Lord have mercy, I'm about to bust.